So more or less, this problem, what I wish to discuss now, is also similar to whatever we did in the last class, right? Let me change the pointer. All the same, we can go through it in a bit faster mode. So it's mentioning a pentagonal prism. It's side of the base is given, and the height of the axis is given, and it's resting on HP on its base with one of the side of the base perpendicular to VP, and then it is cut by a section plane inclined at 45 degree to HP and passing through the midpoint of the axis. And of course, I mean, it has to be perpendicular to VP as well, perfectly. So that's not exactly given in this. Then what is asked is draw development of lateral surface of remaining solid. So lateral surface is actually the part without the, I mean, if we don't consider the top and bottom surfaces, then the remaining part will be termed as the lateral surface. So only the lateral surface is to be developed in this. So first of all, as per the given condition, we have to draw this front view and top view for this pentagonal prism. So this is the top view. By keeping one of the base side of one of the sides of the base perpendicular to VP, right? Like whatever is given here. So it is to be kept like this. XY line, of course, will be horizontal. So that's not shown here, but yeah, it will be horizontal. And then the naming. So it's a prism. So each corner here, it will be representing two corners actually. One for the top surface, one for the bottom surface. So two names are shown at each of these corners. And the front view can be projected from this top view. So one surface has got this A dash, B dash, C dash, D dash, and E dash, and then 1 dash, 2 dash, 3 dash, 4 dash, 5 dash for the bottom surface. Then the section plane is to be located. Now it's intersecting at all the edges at different locations. Here one edge is intersected. This line is representing two edges, one E5 and one B2. Both are coincident over here. So this is representing two edges. So we'll get two corners at this location where this section plane is intersecting. Then at this location again, two edges are represented, one D4 and one C3. So we'll again have 2 points at this. So P dash, Q dash, R dash, S dash, T dash, like that we'll have. Okay. Then development, as we have seen, parallel line development. So considering the height, this much height we have to consider, 1 point here, 1 point here, like that one long edge we mark. And then we have to develop like a rectangle, and we'll have effectively all these rectangular surfaces will actually be opening up here for the lateral surface, this part. So first of all, we'll draw the complete thing from here up to here, top to bottom, and then we'll locate these points wherever these are. Like that we'll do the development. Also this section plane is passing through here, so effectively the top view actually will have this complete pentagon, which will be having section lines. So actually it will be like that. If sectional top view in particular is not asked and it is skipped, that also not a problem. But this is how it will look like in the top view. Yeah. So now for the development, we will have rectangles like this. Height we get from the front view, and here this much distance from this corner up to this. This is as per this distance, because this top view will give true length of any side of this pentagon. So this will be the true length, this will be the true length, this will be the true length. So like that 5 times it will be repeated, and the 5 rectangles for the lateral surface will have. And we have to give the names. So based on the assumption where we are assuming it to be cut. So if we assume that it is cut at this edge, along this edge, and then opened up, this will be a dash, one dash, and so on. Okay. Then yeah, these namings we'll have to give, right? I think the order is missing. I'll have to correct it. Then corresponding to these points, wherever the section plane is passing through, we'll have to locate now the remaining part, like this upper part. If we remove, then this lower part will have to consider for the development. So this edge will only be up to this height. Here we have two edges, right? E2 and E5. So these will be up to this much height. Likewise, this C3 and D4 will be up to this much height only. So these all we have to locate. This P dash has to be located here and here. This will be A dash 1 dash. This will be A dash 1 dash again, right? Then for this B2, this will be B2. So we'll locate this distance onto this, and Q dash will be located. Okay, and this E5 will be then at this location, so T will be located here. Then the remaining two are here, C3 and D4. So we locate R and S on this. Okay, so this then will be join straight lines which will be used for joining this, and this completes it. And the edges also to be marked. Okay, so this is the completion for this, right? The names for these other corners should also be there. I'll have to include in the slide, but you can keep that in mind. Like A dash 1 dash is here, then B dash 2 dash, or you can simply call A1, B2, and so on. So these also should be marked. Yeah, next is this radial line development. So parallel line thing we had done in the last class as such. So we discussed like a parallel line development we call for these cases where the top and bottom surfaces are exactly same, like for cylinder or for prisms. So top and bottom are exactly same. So then what we do is, for the development of the lateral surface, you have to cut along any of the edges, or else cut along a generator for the case of cylinder, and then we open it up. So it develops like a rectangle, and then we mark relevant edges in this, and or else relevant generators in it. Like that we do the development. When actually we have a, say, case of a cone. If we have a cone, now cone will not be developed along two parallel lines because of this curved surface. It has got only one apex, and the bottom face is circular, right? So for this case, we'll actually have to draw it on the radial route. So we this along this circumference, if we cut open along one of the edges, like here, if we cut it here and then open the lateral surface, so it will develop like a sector of a circle, like this. Okay, so this effectively is a radial line which will be representing one of the generators here. So that it is referred as radial line development. Okay. So here, this slant height, whatever slant height we have, with that much of radius, we'll have to draw the sector of a circle. In this, only the overall boundary lines of the sector of the circle after development, whatever we get, is shown, right? But actually, this generators, whatever we draw, those also will actually have to be shown in this when actually we are drawing it. I have one more slide. Uh, Just a moment. Yeah, this actually shows this whatever I was talking about. We'll get back to the previous one after this. Yeah, so see here this actually shows the difference between the two things, right? For the cylinder, if we cut across one of the generators, right, and then open it up, it develops like a rectangle. But if we cut this on this along this slant edge, the cone, and develop it, it will open up like this. Okay, it will develop into a sector. So this is referred as the parallel line development, and this is as the radial line development. Yeah. So uh, we can get back to the previous one. This one. Yeah. Now for this, then how much will this theta be? That actually is decided based on this slant height, how much is the slant height, and how much is this circumference of the base circle. So based on that, we'll uh, get to know that how much this overall arc will span up to how much angle, right? So to obtain this, what we can do is see now this arc length for this circumference of this arc, if we consider this much part. So this will be equal to theta into L, right? And this will be equal to this circumference of this circle. And this will eventually be, if the radius is r, then this will be 2 pi r. So this 2 pi r will be equated to theta L. This will be theta L, and this circumference is 2 pi r. So if we equate 2 pi r and theta L, then how much theta should be that we get. And of course that by default will be in the radians, so you have to convert it to degrees. So that's why after equating theta L to 2 pi r and then obtaining expression for theta, the same can be multiplied with 360 divided by 2 pi. So then you will have this equation which gives you the value of theta in the degrees. Okay. On the same line, the development for a pyramid will also work. So say here we have a square pyramid. For this, if the development is to be done, then here for the slant height we consider. Here we'll have to consider this the true length of this slant edge as the radius of this sector. Okay, true length of this edge we'll have to consider. So we have this true length of the what do you call edge, right? That is marked over here. Then we have to draw this. Now for this case, of course, these are all edges, whatever we have on this base of this solid. We have edges. It's not a single chord edge, right? Like this. So straight lines we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So on getting developed, these will continue to remain the straight lines. So how much this overall arc length we need? For that, from here you'll have to keep marking this distance, which is equal to the length of this side of the base. That you'll have to mark on this arc from this end point here. Then after getting next point, and like that. Okay. So one edge length marked, second marked, third marked, fourth marked. So we'll have 4 edges, of course, right? So with this, the development will complete. Now these also, like all these slant faces we have. It's not a single smooth curve like this. Yeah, faces. All are triangular. So if you join this with this apex, join this with the apex, and so on, so you'll have all the triangular faces developed for the pyramid. So this is how this development will be, right? L is the this slant edge, and this slide we already discussed. This is again the same thing represented on the drawing. an additional slide. It's a bit more as per the actual dimensions and drawing. So for the reference, I included this. Okay, it's for one triangular pyramid and for a cone, the development. Then let us consider the case of frustums. Now, suppose frustum of a cone we consider first. So for this case, again, we'll have to have the radial lines. But you see, there our center for the arc, right? Center for the arc was the apex of the cone. The same thing has to be valid for this case also. So we need to actually complete this cone. Okay, we need to first of all complete this cone. Now we can develop for this complete cone, and then we can locate the points corresponding to this frustum and complete the development. Okay, so whatever we calculated theta, the same can be calculated again, and then we can work it out. So this capital L, that actual slant height for this cone we use, and theta, as we discussed in the previous slide, that we have to calculate, and then we develop this. So this is for the base. For this base, we get this chord line. Then we'll have to locate the same for this one also, the actual top face of this frustum. So that will be obtained by considering this true length L1. Okay, and then we'll be able to tell. In this complete sector actually is drawn, but when we actually draw it on the drawing sheet, whatever number of generators we have, those actually are also supposed to be shown. So these curved surfaces like cone or cylinder, they don't have any edges, as we have discussed many times. But all the same, if this say a cylindrical surface is to be made, then we'll have to bend the sheet and then form this, right? Or for a cone also the same thing is well. So to represent that the bending has to occur, then we actually tend to show the generators also, that okay, about these generators tentatively we'll try to bend the sheet and so as to obtain the desired surface. Then for the pyramid, case of pyramid, so for a square pyramid it is shown here. Again we'll have to first of all complete this. Okay, and then we can again draw this sector. So this is the true length of this slant edge, and this is for the top surface L1. So again the sector to be drawn, and as we discussed, now this is what we obtain, but these are straight edges. So we keep marking the true length of these edges on this circular arc. So 4 edges we have to mark, right? And then all these triangular faces. But of course, this is only a frustum. So next we'll have to consider this L1. Draw the same here. And then again, edges corresponding to the top surface. This surface corresponding to this. Again, edges have to be. And then we complete it. Okay. So this completes the development for this frustum. So this is the radial line development. Here for a cone which actually has been cut, it's not exactly a frustum. The same has been shown over here. We need to have a little closer look to this, because in the previous slides we discussed the method of development in general, but when you draw the generators and then actually draw it, how or what care we need to take, that can be understood from. So of course, I mean, for such a problem, you will be given the dimensions for the cone, like height of the cone or the radius for the base circle so that this top view and this front view can be drawn. Okay, and as we have discussed many times, 12 divisions have been considered, projected onto this, and then we locate all these generators. So this you have already done. So I assume that everyone knows how to divide this and then transfer them to the front view and then to obtain join them all with the apex to obtain these generators in the front view. Beyond that, the location for the section plane again will be given to us, and based on that it will be located. So what seems is that it's a 45-degree plane, and it's somewhat above the midpoint. So some distance will be given, then we can look at this inclined plane which will be intersecting. And as we discussed earlier also, this top part is removed. So say this is lighter, but this bottom part is retained. So this is drawn darker. This is how actually it is to be drawn. Now, as we discussed in the previous slide, what we need to do is again we find out the how much is the total angle for which this sector will have to be drawn. So you make use of the radius of the base. It's 540. So radius will be 20, and then you consider this length. It's given 60. So making use of these two, you will calculate theta. Making use of this slant edge, we draw the sector for an angle of 120 degrees. Thereafter, these equal divisions, right? 12 equal divisions have to be made. Once this is done, then all these generators, as I had mentioned, can be marked, right? So we have all these many 12 generators, and of course this O1 gets repeated because that is where we begin with, so we'll end at that location. So that is shown. Now, you see this point P1. If we have to mark this, we simply measure it from this O up to this P1 and mark on this O1. This O1 generator is marked here. We have O1, O2, O3, O4, and so on. All the generators marked on this sector. So on the O1, we'll mark this P1. We have O1 here also, and here also we mark it. For this P2, now you see, if you measure the distance from this O up to this P2, this is not the true length for this, right? So what we'll have to do is we'll have to project this point onto this side generator, either this one or it can be on this one, either on O1 or O7. We have to project it onto that. Then this length is to be measured from this O up to this point. This point corresponding to P2, we are projecting onto this O7. So we have to measure from O up to this point, right? This P2 dash is projected on. So this will give the true length. So that true length then will have to be marked from this onto this O2 at this location. Okay. Likewise, like it's beginning with 1, so 12 will be here, right? So 2 is here, 12 will be here. So on 12 also, O12 also, the same distance actually we need to mark, because this P2 and this P12 will be coincident. P12 is not mentioned in this diagram, otherwise it will become too clumsy. The 2 and 12 will be in the same location. So here and here it will be marked. Likewise, this 3. So 3 and 11 will be coincident. We project onto this. We measure it from this distance. We mark on this 3 and on this. Okay. On O3 you mark P3 and O11 you mark. Okay. So like this, all these have to be correspondingly projected onto this O7, because O7 is giving us the true length. So of course,
Sir,
yeah, please.
sir, how we had marked that 1, 2, 3, 4 in semicircle uh, in the front view part?
Here. No,
No,
what I'm
sir.
saying, here,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
these distances. Hmm?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, so see, in general, you can go for say an approximation. You can measure with the divider from here and draw these. This is a faster method to draw. It will not cause any much error, and you will be able to draw. But otherwise, of course, what I mean, if we want to go for the exact thing, then what we need to do is we need to draw the line with the length equal to circumference. Okay, we need to draw the line with the length equal to circumference, make 12 equal divisions of the same. I hope that method you must have learned in school, how to divide a line into 12 divisions. I mean, which is not having exact dimension. If all the divisions are say of 5 millimeter, you can directly using a scale you can draw it. But if it is not so, suppose the total length is 13, you divide it, I have to divide in 12. I hope that method you have learned, right? So using that method, you divide it into 12 parts and then mark those. After measure from there and mark those onto this. But I mean, for this construction, you can simply actually measure this and mark it onto this with the divider. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So for the line joining P1 and P2 in the final view, why are we drawing it as a curved line?
Yeah,
Why
yeah,
are
yeah.
we
So
not
that is the
as
next thing I wanted to discuss. Now,
okay,
just
sir.
try to imagine this section plane is making a flat surface. Very true. But just try to imagine how the outer periphery of this section part will look like. What kind of shape we'll have for this? You've done sections, so you might recall if you think a little. What kind of shape you will have for the boundary?
Ellipse.
Yeah, yes. So we have an ellipse. So see, we have a curved boundary. It's although the surface is flat, but it's bounded by an ellipse. It has got curved boundary. That is why it is to be drawn curved. So that care has to be taken. We don't draw a straight line joining all these points. It has to be a smooth curve, right? By smooth curve, what I mean is, you see, if you consider this location, this is the topmost point, I mean, closest to the apex at P7. On this O7, this P7 is closest to the apex. You see, it's going before and after in the form of a smooth curve. You don't have a pointed thing. Getting my point? If you can even draw a tangent onto this, right? But some people don't take much care. Then what happens is they draw a pointed tip there, but that is not a correct practice because it is a smooth curve, so it should remain smooth. Should be quite smooth. I mean, it's going to the topmost part and then smoothly going down. So a smooth end is here. I mean, one clear, say kind of two straight lines meeting at P7, giving a clear apex or clear corner. That thing should not happen. It should be a continuous curve. Okay. The same you can see here. It's joining more or less tangentially at this location. This curve, if you consider, it's coming more or less tangentially to this, right? So
Sir,
like that, please. Yeah, yeah, please.
sir, how you are deciding that the sector part will be of 120 degree?
Okay, we'll go back to that slide. Uh, so I guess rest of it is clear, right? So this curvature part, effectively, I mean, we have to keep in mind. So generally, if you
Just
get,
one more question. That
yeah,
how do we know that the curvature should be inside or in an outer way?
if
Like
you
there
have,
are two ways to find the
if
curvature.
you have, yeah, listen to me. So if you have a number of points, no, so in general, your if you try to join them, no, in general, if you have not done much error in measurement, then what will happen? You'll actually have it. Please keep yourself muted. Some noise is coming. Yeah. So this, like this here, you see here it's not suddenly going too much up, right? But here there is a bit sharp increase. So when you are drawing it, you'll have this. You'll get this feeling. that where this has to go. Likewise, you see in the last portion, there is very small increase. So this will give you a hint that how actually it has to get curved. Based on that, you'll have to decide.
So could you please tell a shortcut to draw the 12 equal divisions on the arc?
No, what I was saying is simply measure. See, here you, anyways, you take uh, 360 by 12. So 30 degree you will simply take and then you make 12 divisions, right? Now later on, simply with the divider, measure it on here, like one end point of divider here, another here, and then using the divider, you mark all these points. That's what I was saying. Is it fine?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, this angle somebody was asking, we discussed in the previous slide, right? I can show it again. It's taking a bit time. Yeah.
Sir, according to
This one, this way you have to calculate. This thing you have to do, right? So as I had mentioned, effectively what we are doing is let me draw this up. So this actually, if you consider this length is L and this angle is theta. So this theta into L will give you this length for this arc, right? And this arc length is actually supposed to be equal to length of this circumference. And this will be 2 pi r. If this radius is r, this will be 2 pi r. So this 2 pi r you equate with theta L. So with that you will get this, right? But here one more thing has been done, that is it has been converted to degrees. So it has been multiplied with 360 by 2 pi. So 2 pi got cancelled. We had 2 pi r divided by L. We multiply with 360 by 2 pi gets cancelled. So this thing gives you the angle theta in degrees. So I hope it is clear now. Yeah, somebody was asking something. Please ask now.
sir, in the previous figure, is it okay to skip the labeling of some points as it is not shown there?
No, see, if you can label, that is best. But of course, I mean, if the space is not permitting, then you can do it. That's what I think you mean, right? Here as such, skipping is not needed, right? So I would recommend you write all this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, right? But here, like, suppose if it is becoming too crowded, you may skip something. But here, like, enough space, please mention all the names. So like that, I'll suggest. Okay. So shall we move further? Yeah. So next slide we can go to this one. So here the case of pyramid actually is shown. So in particular, this slide actually just is to remind us that in the development we'll need all the sides with their true lengths or all the edges with their true lengths. So here again a square pyramid is shown, but you see the front view, if you draw this square here in this fashion with one edge parallel to the vertical plane, then the front view will not give any of the edges with their true length. Like this is representing a face, OA, OB, both are coincident. So there is a mistake in this. This is D. This is an image I won't be able to change. So sorry about that. But you see, this is OA, this is OD. So both are coincident. So this triangular face OAD is shown here. This OCB is shown here. So this again coincident. But none of these is giving the true line. But when we have to draw this sector, this distance, this up to this, like O dash up to this A dash, this actually has to be true length. So that is what is obtained in this. So any one of these edges, any one of these slant edges, we need to, sorry, any of these slant edges we need to make parallel to the XY line and then bring it up to this level of this base, right? Join it with the apex. So this will then give the true length of the edge, right? This edge, if it is parallel to XY line in the top view, its front view will give the true length. So we get the true length from here and then we can draw this development. Okay, so this slide is primarily only for that purpose. So I hope it is clear to everyone. We can have a look at the next one. Yeah, so now this again one more problem. For this also stepwise thing I don't have, only the complete solution is there. We can just go through the problem once. So hexagonal pyramid, age of the base 60 mm. So base edge is known, so hexagon we can draw in the top view. Then height is 104 mm. So height is known, so front view we will be able to draw. It's kept on horizontal plane such that one of the base edges is parallel to VP. Okay, it is cut by a section plane perpendicular to VP and inclined 45 degree to HP and passing through a point on the axis 94 mm below the apex. So this of course top view can be drawn, front view can be drawn, and the section plane can be located in the front. Develop the lateral surface of the pyramid of the remaining lower part of the pyramid. Yeah. So this is the solution. So first of all, by keeping one of, let me change the option of the pointer. Yeah. So by keeping this one edge parallel to the XY line, first of all, we draw the top view, then we project the front view. So this again everyone knows, so I will skip. After obtaining this, what we are doing is we are locating this section plane. This drawing has got, I mean, all the essential features, right? Like this removed part is light. So, and this remaining part is shown dark. So we locate this section plane, this part is to be removed. Then once we locate this, we'll have to immediately identify which are the locations where it is intersecting some edges. So here it is intersecting one edge. Here two edges are coincident, OE and OC. Both are shown by this edge, OE as well as OC. So here we get two corner points. Then on this location again we have O1 and OB and OF. Both are coincident onto this. So again we get two corner points. Here it is intersecting the base, right? And again it is representing two base edges, AB and AF, this location. So again we get 2 points. So for all the slant edges, names have been given with numbers, and for the base edges with the letters, so as to identify that these are existing on the base edges. Now again for this particular case, like this OD, it is giving true length here. It is already parallel. OD is already parallel to the XY line, so O dash D dash is giving true length. Likewise, OA is parallel, so O dash A dash is giving true length. So you need not make any edge parallel, but whichever intersection points on any other slant edges which are not parallel to the which are not parallel to the vertical plane and not giving the true length in the front view. For those like this one, this O dash B dash or O dash F dash coincident on this edge. So this 1 dash and 5 dash are intersected by the section plane at this location. So O dash to 1 dash or O dash to 5 dash, the true length is not available here, so it is to be projected onto this. One thing let me make clear here, what has been done is all these after projecting like 1 dash 5 dash projected here, and then the development is continuing. Drawing it here itself is not necessary. You can draw it anywhere, okay, as per your space availability or whatever. But you have to ensure that this O-1 dash or O-5 dash, these you have to measure by projecting them on this true length edge. We'll measure it from here up to this point. So this is something which is to be maintained. Same is to be done for 2 dash 4 dash. Project here, then mark on the relevant one. Right? Yeah. So first of all, to begin with the development, again, you will have to consider the length of the true length of the slant edge, and then you will draw this circular arc. Thereafter, all these points you have to locate. So 1 dash and 5 dash, you have to come up to this and then mark it on the relevant edges. Let me repeat. First of all, take the true length of the slant edge. Begin from one of the edges. We assume, say, this has been cut, and then the lateral surface is opened up, right? So here, first of all, a circular arc is drawn. Then from this top view, you will measure any of the side. These are all equal. So like you measure CD, and then you mark this distance here. Then from B up to C, from C up to D, D up to E, and so on. So hexagon, so we'll have 6 edges distinctly marked: AB, BC, CD, DE, EF, and FA. Okay. Now we have to locate all these points. Let us consider these points first, because these, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because these are on the slant edges. 3 dash, of course, giving true length directly. So on OD, you measure this O dash 3 dash this distance, and on OD you mark it. So you locate 3. Then for 2 and 4, you have to project them onto the true length. Then you measure it from here. Then O2 will be on OC. So on OC you mark O2. On OE you have to, this 4 is on OE. So on OE you mark this 4. Likewise 1 and 5, first of all project onto this. Then on OB you will mark 1, and on OF you will mark 5. Now these 2 points are on the base edge. Now true length of the base edge is available here, right? AB is containing P and AF is containing Q. So these distances will have to measure from the base only. So AB, the edge is marked over here, right? So AB is this. We measure how much away P is from A. We mark away from A onto this AB, and we locate P. Likewise for Q, how much away from A Q is, we mark on the AF with the same distance. So we locate Q. And now the retained part, all you will have the straight. Here, of course, here on this surface, you will have all straight edges, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and so on. So all straight edges you have to mark, right? And as we discussed earlier, these edges also have to be marked. These represent the location where this sheet can be folded to form the shape. Okay. One alternate development is shown here by actually cutting across this OD and then developing it. If you consider the drawing, this part and this part, you will actually find them exactly equal to this part and this part. But as I had mentioned earlier also, a preferred drawing will be this first one, because you get one intact complete surface, which a flat surface, one intact complete single entity kind of flat surface, which can be folded into the lateral surface of this pyramid. Here you get 2 pieces. So I would say this is the preferred thing. So open it up at this edge, because here this pieces are not joining in. So this will be the leftover part, and rest of it is well connected. So you will get a connected surface. Okay. So I hope this one is clear. If you
Sir?
have anything to ask. Yes,
Sir,
please.
Sir, for finding the true length of O1, can we do it like project that in top view and then take it to a length which is parallel to XY line?
Actually, here our purpose is to obtain the this length, and I mean the length of this one on this slant edge, right? So the true length is available here and here on these two, and also this location is already available to us. By location, what I mean is the section plane is intersecting this edge, say O1, at how much height? That height is already available to us. So we can move parallel to the base and go on to the true length of this. Going to the top view is not needed for this.
Sir, will that process be a wrong process?
By going to the top view, what do you want to do? Like say
So
I
like
go.
projecting it on OB and then moving it to OA.
No, but ultimately then what you are doing? You will again get back to this. So you will go to this point. If you
Yes,
do that all, you will again reach here. So you are doing some extra effort unnecessarily. Simply draw a parallel line. The same thing you will get.
okay, sir.
Yeah. Anything else? Shall we move on? Okay, so maybe we move on to the next. Yeah, this is the preferred one I already mentioned. Yeah, then we have this case of a cylinder through which there is a hole. So a right circular cylinder, base 50 mm diameter and axis, it's not visible to me. I think it is 60 mm long, is standing on HP, and its base is on its base. It has a square hole of 25 mm, it should be in it. The axis of the hole bisects the axis of the cylinder and is perpendicular to VP. The faces of the square hole are equally inclined with the HP. Draw its projections and develop the lateral surface. Yeah, one thing I forgot to mention, if it is mentioned no that develop the lateral surface, then you can go ahead and develop the lateral surface only. But if it is mentioned that you have to develop all the surfaces, then actually all the surfaces will have to be developed. That means lateral surface as well as top and bottom. Like in the previous example, that cube we had developed, we developed the top and bottom also. So depending on the problem, that we'll have to do. Also, sometimes a true shape need to be found for that, and then we have to complete. Maybe I'll mention this before closing today's lecture. Let us proceed with this one. So first of all, this cylinder is given with its dimensions, so we can draw it. I mean, it's resting on horizontal plane, so its base will be giving the true shape in the top view. So a circle we draw in the top view, and then we obtain the front view, which will be more like rectangle. And then we have to, of course, draw all the generators also. Then there is a square hole in it, and this axis of hole bisects the axis of the cylinder and is perpendicular to it. So that means the hole is exactly perpendicular to the axis of cylinder, right? Uh, how to say transverse, a transverse hole you can say, right? So in the transverse direction, we have a square hole. Okay. So the easiest thing is that if we are looking at this hole from the front, it will look like a plain square in the front view. So we'll have to draw it like that. Then additionally, the condition is that the faces of this square hole are equally inclined with the horizontal plane. That means all that 50-degree inclined edges should be visible in the front view. Front view, if we look exactly in front of from the front side of this square hole, it will simply look like a square in the front view, and the sides of that square should be all equally inclined to the horizontal plane. So that means all the sides should be 45 degrees. So this we have this base first of all, the true circle, true shape is a circular one. divide into an equal number of divisions, and then we draw the front. All the projectors have to be projected and we look at all these points. For the bottom face, the names are missing in this for the ease of slide, but we should give names to both. As we discussed, it could be 1, 2, 3, 4 or whatever. For the case of cylinder, you may choose to give the same name also, top and bottom. Yeah. And this is how the square hole is. The axis is perpendicular, so axis of the square hole is a point. It looks like a point here because it's perpendicular to this vertical plane, and equally inclined sides. So we get the conditions fulfilled. So more or less it is similar to whatever we have done earlier, but you will notice a few different things. One is like this corner and this corner. These are lying on certain generators. So if we develop this surface of this cylinder, it will be rectangular surface we have discussed. We can mark all the 12 generators. Again, measure with the divider, mark the generators, and you'll be making it, right? But you have got these two corners on these generators, 4 and 10. Okay, so these corners will be located on them, but these two are not on any generators. If we come across such a situation, we have to introduce new generators. Okay, so that is what is shown. New generator drawn from A, marked on the top two, between 2 and 3. Okay, likewise between 11 and 12. It is a through hole, right? So both the sides it will be having a corners located on the outer curved surface. These two, of course, corresponding to this and this, we can mark on this 4 and 10. Corresponding to this, again a new generator is introduced. Okay. So these extra new points we have due to this. So this is what the development will be like. Now we have to locate all these. So this B and D, as we have discussed, on 4. So on 4 you can locate B and D, and on 10 also you can locate B and D by measuring the relevant distances. For A and C you will have to locate this. So between 2 and 3 you will locate A. Between 11 and A you will locate. For C, between 5 and 6 you will locate here, and between 8 and 9 again you will look at here a new projector, and these new generators, and on those these will be located. Now additionally here in this, what is being done, the mid part, this zone, again a new generator is introduced. This is because of the reason, as we discussed, like in the previous case when the cone was intersected by the section plane, right? Then what happened? We obtained a curved surface, right? Oh, sorry, a curved line we had for the boundary. Okay, so section plane is flat, but the surface is curved. Intersection results into a curved line. Same will happen here. This actually is a square hole as seen in the front view, but you see this surface is curved. So this edge will actually not be a straight edge. On the surface, it will actually be a curved one. So if we have to say draw that curve properly, we will need more points. So that is why one extra generator, so as to have 2 extra points, like 1 extra point between this 1 point, 2 point we have, and this is the third. So 1 extra point is introduced here, 1 extra point is introduced here, likewise 1 here. So this will allow us to draw a smooth curvature. So that is the purpose. Okay. Yeah. So now this A is located here, as we discussed, between 2 and 3. This is drawn. Then this A can be located here. right? The other 2 points on this 3. Then this additional between 3 and 4, which is so as to have more points, so that we'll be able to get a better shape. So these are the extra points what we discussed corresponding to this. Then of course B and D to be located on 4 as we discussed. Then again the extra points corresponding to these on the extra generator in these two and between these two, right? Between 4, 5 and between 4, 5, and then of course the same will be done between 9 and 10 also. These two located, these two, and this complete. This extra generator again between 5, 6. So this actually gives us all these many points. So it will be slightly curved. If we don't have an extra point, then here we'll have some gap. Likewise, it happens here. Okay. So this introduction of this extra point actually helps here and here. Okay, so like this, the second part is just replication of the same, and you will be able to complete this. Okay. Beyond that, we have the approximate method. So that I'll just discuss. So when we have double curved surfaces, the main example is that of a sphere, and then all these others also. We'll actually have two curvatures on the surface. Like a cylinder, you have single curvature or per pole. So these can be developed exactly, but if there are double curvature, then we cannot develop it exactly. So we need to go for the approximate method. So just in brief, I'll tell you the approximate development of a sphere, right? Of course, that assignment I am not giving, but at least you will know this. So you see in this approximate development of a sphere has been shown. So since it has got two curvatures, so the approximate method in this here, so actually one more method is there. I have one method on slide, I'm explaining that. So here what is done is, we are trying to have, rather than two curvatures, only one curvature and then developing it. So as I mentioned, it is approximate development, it's not exact, but it solves the purpose. That is, if a sphere has to be made, then with all these approximately developed surfaces, we can make so many connections and finally obtain it. So this approximate method is doing what? It effectively, this thing is not going from a screen also. Yeah. So this approximate method is doing what? This actually is, in this what we are doing is we are dividing the sphere into number of divisions. So here in this slide, these are referred as zones. So we're dividing it into number of zones, and then each of these zones is actually developed as a cone or as a frustum of a cone. So that is what is done, right? So you see here what is done is, this is the total radial line. So this actually is a simple circle, but it may represent, say, the front view of a sphere. If we draw a top view, again we'll have one more circle here, right? So this, suppose, is the front view of a sphere. Then you see what has been done here. This radial line from here up to here, this actually is divided into three different zones. One line is drawn here, so we have one zone here. Okay, then from here to here we have next zone, from here to here we have next zone. So say if I simply cut it across this line, across this diametric line, then what will happen? I will have half the sphere, hemisphere will have, right? If I draw this, hemisphere will have, the upper part will be half of the sphere. So that half only has been considered here. And for that half, we have considered these three different zones. So one slice we are making from here. Okay. Another from here, another from here. So this A, B, and C are representing three segments of this. Okay. Thereafter, what is being done is we are trying to approximate frustum of a cone. So maybe let me begin with this part C. So see, in this part C, what is done is here from this point to this point, what is done? A line has been drawn and extended. From this point to this point again, a line has been drawn and extended. And these intersect over here. Okay. So now you see from this O up to 9 dash and 3 dash with the second surface represented by 2 dash and 10 dash, we have a frustum of a cone. Okay. So this frustum we can develop. This development has been shown here for the part C from here to here. Likewise for this B, again from this 10 to this 11. So here actually this 12 divisions, whatever we keep doing usually, those actually have been done. And based on that only these divisions have been done. That's why these numbers are coming like that. So again from here to here, these two ends are joined and extended. This goes here, this end goes here. So this B again is developed like a frustum of a cone. So development again is shown over here. Okay, and the top part like a cone. So this is developed like a cone. Okay, so this is the approximate development. So we need to join all this. First of all, we fold this part. So it will be representing the curved surface of this part. But this is again approximate because you see here this curvature we could not accommodate. This curvature we actually have lost, right? The same is happening here and here. But approximately we'll be attaining the shape of the sphere by joining all these three. Is this clear to everyone or do you have any doubt about this?
Unable to understand this.
Everyone is unable?
Yes, sir. Me also.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So in this, how will we take the center? I mean, like for OC we have done, then how we will ensure that half of O is drawn towards left and half is drawn towards the right of axis?
Okay. No, for that actually, you see, corresponding to this is of course the complete diameter of the sphere, right? But beyond that, we will have to actually obtain this, that how much is the radius for the base. So we measure from here to here. This is the radius for the base, like for this part B. We consider part C. From here to here is the radius of the base. Okay, and this distance as you measure from here up to here, this will become the slant height for the cone, right?
Sir, could you please draw step by step like we used to draw previous classes?
I can draw, but actually it may not be so much exact. That's why I was not doing it. No, so again, maybe let me repeat this part. What we are actually doing is we are trying to develop the sphere. That is one thing. But as I mentioned, we cannot exactly develop it. Okay. So first of all, please everyone try to visualize this as the front view of a sphere. This is a circle, this dark line. A dark line is a circle. But say this is, assume it to be the front view of a sphere, right? Then what is done is, first of all, these all divisions have been done. Whatever divisions we do, that is our choice. And beyond that, this line, see, this is a diametrical line, right? So suppose if I cut this in the front view, suppose if you have the section plane from this upper part will be like only a hemisphere. Is that clear to everyone or not? This circle is representing, yeah. So this circle is actually representing what? It is representing the front view of a sphere, number one thing. Now suppose if we have a section plane passing through this, we'll have a hemisphere. What we are doing is we are considering development for this hemisphere. Again, as I had mentioned, we won't be able to develop it exactly. So we are going for approximation. So what we are doing is, further this hemisphere we are dividing in two more parts. One section plane is passed through this, one is passed through this. So now what you have, this much part is one part represented by C. Out of that hemisphere, this section plane, this section plane. In between this, we have one part. So it will be circular, right? Corresponding to this top part, you will have a circle. Corresponding to this, you will have a circle. So this much part cut from the sphere. Likewise, in between these two, again we have one more part which has been cut out of this hemisphere, and this is the remaining top portion of the hemisphere. So can you imagine how these all 1, 2, 3, this ABC will be looking like? If you can imagine that, then the rest of it won't be any problem, I guess, right? Can you imagine, like, if you have a hemisphere, from the diameter we draw one section plane from here. So in this middle part, which is represented by C, how will it look like? Can everyone imagine? If you please say yes if it is okay with everyone.
I cannot imagine it.
Say some circular paperweight you have seen, right? Paperweight which has got half, which is like a half sphere. That kind of paperweight sometimes you would have seen, right? So if I cut it from here, it is simply a hemisphere. So it will look like that part only, right? Now parallel to the base, we are cutting it. We sliced here once and we sliced here once. Parallel to base, you are slicing it like this. You will have one part, second part, and third part. Like this you have. Please try to think, because this thing I won't be able to do. Maybe I'll give it a try if people are not able to imagine.
So could you please also tell that for the distance between OC and OA, we will take it on the lateral side, because that will only give the true length.
For this one only you are saying?
Yes, sir.
Just a moment. Yeah, what was you saying? Please repeat it.
So for the distance between OC and OA in the development figure,
Yes.
we have to first take it on the lateral surface, that is O dash C and 3, the projection
Sure.
of O dash A, and then draw it on development.
But actually here what we are doing is, in this part here, what actually we are doing is, we are developing this as a frustum of a cone, right? Now here we are not exactly doing anything else. No, this distance you measure, then this is giving true length, no? O dash 9 dash, or else you could measure O dash and 3 dash. This again is giving true length. You could have
Yes.
O dash and 2 dash also. This will give true length. So the same actually will be used, no? This O dash 3 dash, then O dash 2 dash. So these two curvatures only will need. Theta we will have to calculate. Yeah, please. What?
Actually, I'm asking that for OC, that OC to OA distance in the
C,
development figure.
C is not a point in this. C
No,
is
sir,
this.
actually
Uh,
OC and OA that are drawn in the second figure, the distance between them.
this is OC and
OA, the distance between them will be taken by the projection in the first
Okay, okay.
figure.
No. Please, see here what we are doing is these see here actually they are all 1, 2, 3 drawn one top of another, but that again is not something necessary. Effectively, this C part is developed by locating this center by drawing this 9 and 10 join extended, 3 and 2 join extended, right? And then this is developed as a frustum. That's what we have done. This part is developed as a frustum of a cone. So this O dash to this distance you have to measure and then draw it. Now these three can be drawn on separate locations. Here just for sake of understanding, one top of other they have been placed, that their curvatures are different and so on. We get to realize from this. That is the only purpose, right? So now if we want to ensure this, then these measurement distances will be needed. That is true. But again, yeah. So you probably wanted to consider that since this will be a true length, so this distance we'll have to bring over here and then measure. Yeah. Like that we'll have to
Yes.
do. That we'll have to do.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Sir, how will
So
we find dash A, O, B dash?
this, yeah, that's what I was trying to explain. So what we are doing is, first of all, we are dividing this hemisphere into 3 zones, right? Now suppose this is the bottommost zone, that is C. So one section plane here, one section plane here, we obtained this. Now here you have one end point for this plane and one point for this. This section plane is intersecting the circumference here. This one is intersecting at this location. Okay. So we join this and then extend it. So this point is then to be obtained. So we join these two and extend. We join this and extend. So these will intersect to give this apex. Like that we are locating this. The same is to be done for these two also. So we consider this section plane, it is intersecting here. This point, this section plane is intersecting circumference here. So this point join and extend it. Then this point and this point join and extend. So we locate O dash, OB dash. So like this we have to locate. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And thereafter, like only like we develop a cone or a frustum, the same thing we are adopting for this. That is the thing. Maybe I'll stop here. And then, as I had mentioned,